Let me back up a little. I'm in my early 30s. Single. Not desperate. But not against finding someone either. My mom, like a lot of moms, has been dropping hints for years. When are you going to settle down? Your cousin just had her second baby. I'm not getting any younger. You know the drill. But last Thanksgiving, she got serious. She pulled me into the kitchen while everyone else was watching football. And she said, "I have someone for you." I laughed. I thought she was joking. She wasn't. She told me about a woman named Claire. Claire is 29. She lost her husband in a car accident about 14 months ago. No kids. Works as a nurse. And according to my mom, she's ready to move on. And you're ready to start a family. It's perfect. I stood there holding a plate of cold turkey, trying to process what just came out of her mouth. I said, "Mom, she's grieving. I can't just slide in there like a replacement husband." And my mom said something. That still bugs me. She said, "Life moves on. You're a good man. She needs a good man. And I need grandkids." That was the moment I realized my mom had turned my love life into a business deal. Here's the thing. I said no at first. I told my mom it was inappropriate. But she didn't let it go. For 2 weeks, she kept bringing Claire up. She's beautiful. She's kind. Her family loves her. You two would have beautiful babies. I'm not kidding. She actually said beautiful babies 3 separate times. Then she sent me Claire's Instagram. And I looked. Not because I was interested. Okay, maybe a little because I was curious. And Claire seemed normal. Happy pictures from 2 years ago. Beach trips. A golden retriever. Her and her late husband at a wedding. Then newer posts. Shorter captions. A quote about healing. A photo of a sunset with no filter. I felt bad for her. But I also felt something else. A tiny voice in my head that said, what if my mom isn't completely crazy? That scared me more than anything. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I called my best friend, Mike. And Mike said, "Dude, don't do it. You're not a grief counselor. You're a guy who still eats cereal for dinner." Which is fair. But then he said, "But also, what's the worst that could happen? A dinner." That's how slippery slopes work. 1 second you're saying no. The next second you're thinking, maybe just coffee. I sat on it for another week. Then my mom called me and said Claire asked about me. I said, "She doesn't even know me." And my mom said, "I showed her your photo from the family barbecue. She said you looked kind." That broke something in me. Not in a romantic way, but in a human way. This woman lost her person, and she's out here trying to find kindness again. Meanwhile, I'm scared of a little awkwardness. So I messaged her. Simple. "Hey, this is random. But our moms are apparently best friends now. Want to grab coffee and laugh about it?" She replied in 4 minutes. "Yes. Saturday." That Saturday, I almost turned around 3 times in the parking lot. My hands were sweating. I had no idea what to say. How do you talk to someone who buried their spouse? Do you bring it up? Do you pretend it didn't happen? There's no manual for this. But when I walked in, Claire was already there. She had a plain black coffee and a small smile. She stood up, shook my hand, and said, "Thanks for coming. I know this is weird." And just like that, the pressure dropped. We talked for 2 hours. Not about marriage or babies or my mom's master plan. We talked about work, about bad reality TV, about how overrated roller coasters are. She laughed at my dumb jokes. I asked about her dog. Normal stuff. Then, near the end, she got quiet. And she said, "Can I be honest?" I nodded. She said, "I'm not looking for a husband. I'm looking for proof that life isn't over. My mom and your mom talked. And I said yes because I'm tired of people treating me like glass. You didn't. So thank you." I didn't know what to say. So I just said, "I'm sorry you went through that." And she said, "Yeah, me too." Then she smiled again and said, "But I'm also glad you showed up." Here's where it gets messy. We went on a second date. and a third. By the fourth date, my mom was already picking out nursery colors. I had to shut that down fast. I told my mom, we are just getting to know each other. Stop planning the wedding. But secretly, I started to really like Claire. Not because I felt sorry for her. Because she was sharp and funny and didn't take herself too seriously. One night, we were walking her dog, and she tripped over a curb. Instead of getting embarrassed, she just laid there on the grass laughing. I thought, oh no, I'm in trouble. Then came the hard conversation. She brought it up. Not me. She said, I need to tell you something. I still cry about him. Sometimes out of nowhere. And if that's too much for you, I get it. But I won't pretend he didn't exist. I told her the truth. I don't expect you to pretend. I've never been married. I don't know what that loss feels like, but I know what it feels like to be lonely. And I don't feel lonely with you. She cried a little. I held her hand. And in that moment, I realized my mom was both right and wrong. Right that Claire is amazing. Wrong that you can just swap out one person for another like changing a tire.